Welcome to the Forecast with Gary Lezak and
Bob Lyons?
oh my gosh,
I didn't give it the squeak.
It's amazing.
Today was squeak free.
What is this segment brought to you by?
Oh, the gun show.
Results. The Gun Show.
Yeah.
Thegunshow.com.
Yes.
Results.
Gary'sGunShow.com.
Personal fitness.
Oh, can we say that? We got to buy that domain now, I think. It's like a legal.
I know. Well,
necessity.
they sponsored the show.
Okay,
so
sorry. Keep with
yeah.
the sponsor. I don't mean to derail.
results. Get results today. I didn't do 40 sets.
What did we do?
I did 30 sets.
Of?
But we did decline, incline,
Decline's great.
and flies with
Oh,
dumbbells.
that's a big
All
old chest day.
All free weights. It was chest day, but we did decline, then flies with
Yeah,
dumbbells.
it's good stuff.
Then incline press.
Okay.
Then flies again, then declines. 1 set of 5, superset.
Ooh.
6 times through for 30 sets.
That's a real deal. Like, get them done. I have a question for you, though. Okay. Because every week we come in here, we compliment the gun show. Do you have leg day? Does David Schlossman not believe in leg day?
Oh, my
Do
goodness.
we squat? Do we worry about our posterior chain?
David
Is
Schlossman.
he's gonna
trainer.
come in and you're both just gonna pummel me for even like insinuating.
Steve, Chris, Don, Valerie, and the rest of your trainers out there, you know, on Tuesday, I
Tuesday's
had a
like-
huge leg day.
I see. So it's just because
Huge.
the day that we choose to do this on is typically like a big old chest. Like beefcake day.
I would have. It just happened on. I usually do leg day by myself because
Sure.
David has taught me if you can do 10 sets of squats, then that's a good workout. Like just
Yeah.
get your 10 sets of squats and you've done it. But we did 15 sets of squats, free weights, and we
Woo.
went up to pretty good weight. For me, 150 pounds is pretty good.
That's
weight.
pretty good, man.
And then back down, but I did 50 sets, and I am so my
Ooh.
legs are important. If you're working out, okay,
Oh, it's yeah.
work out with free weights, even if it's very light free weights. It's very good for your body, but do legs. The legs use more blood and they
Yeah.
burn more fat. Your muscles are bigger, and so do legs. And I was able to do 15 sets of squats this week.
Very impressive, man. And there's nothing worse than being sore after leg day
I know, it's
because there's
great.
just nothing you can do. Like you just,
I know.
every step is just,
And that's
make
what
it
I'm in
stop.
right now.
Yeah.
It's a great sore.
It is
okay?
great. That is a very good point. It's a deep sore.
Yeah.
But they always say too, like as you get in more into your golden years,
What are you
having
trying to say?
no, not I am not insinuating you're anywhere near a designated year that is golden.
I'm in my golden years now, aren't I?
Is this official? I don't know.
No. That's 10 more years.
Is there a governmental cutoff?
70s and 80s.
I
are
mean, you were
golden.
technically retired, but you retired a little before retirement
That's
technical
true.
age.
So I'm still young. Okay.
Okay, we could debate it. Well,
So what's your point?
Well, you're supposed to. It's this weird thing that I remember reading years ago, where like the most specific indicator of how you will do, like from a mobility perspective in your golden years, is whether or not you can get up out of a chair.
Wow.
So there's a lot of it that dictates, like, okay, I mean, it is a squatting and posterior chain. Oh. I felt that like as a visceral.
Because I'm sore.
I know exactly what you mean, my friend.
Amazing.
Wow.
So anyway, Results Personal Fitness. Thank you very much for being a sponsor of this segment.
Always great. Super great.
This weekend, we're recording this. There's a couple big things going on. The
Yeah.
NFL is releasing their schedule for the season. More on that in a second.
Exciting.
And I am emceeing for my final time
Wow.
the Fur Ball benefiting Wayside Waifs.
Beautiful.
Go to waysidewaifs.org and you can donate.
It's a great
now.
organization.
It is sold out. I don't think you can get in there. You know,
Is it? This is a dumb question. Is it usually open to the public?
yeah.
I figured it was like an
should I
invite
get
only.
you a ticket? Do you need a ticket? In case
I
you
would
wanna
go to the Fur Ball,
You
of
would?
course. Yeah.
I wonder if I could get you in at the last second.
I would get like a tux that has like bones.
No,
and-
the theme is Vegas.
oh, that's right, because we
It's
saw the photo
Pause
shoot. Oh, that
Vegas.
was
So
that
you
was
can
a
go
great one.
just like this if you want to.
Oh, this does
Just
feel very
your
desert.
high roller outfit.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah, so it's Pause Vegas this year. Sunny
theme.
the weather dog. Sunny is my 8-year-old Australian Shepherd mix. I almost cry. She's only 8, but I feel like she's getting older.
What? Did
I
you see
know.
it in the day-to-day attitude or
No,
what?
no, not yet.
Okay.
She's gonna and Rainbow, the weather dog.
Rainbow's a pup.
3. Rainbow and Sunny are gonna come out on stage to open up the show.
Adorable.
And it's crazy. I have to hold on to them tight because Rainbow wants to go. There's going to be about 1,000 people out there.
Sure.
Will they be going? If she gets free, she'll jump out and go say hi to all 1,000 people.
I mean, that's, to be socially desired is not a bad trait in
I
a
know.
dog, right?
Yeah, but
I understand as a show component, that's
I don't
difficult.
want her to knock over some old,
Yeah, that's
old
fair.
lady in there,
That
right?
is
You know,
very
it
fair.
could be dangerous. She can be dangerous.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, get the hype going.
Now, in Vegas once, I lost on a big blackjack bet, and I was oh boy,
Oh, no.
and I was so mad.
Did you knock over an old lady? Is that where you're going with this?
My friends say I did.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that was really
Well,
where you were going.
My friends say I did. I just reminded me of that. The Metcalfs,
Wow.
David and Amy Metcalf, they were with us in Vegas. Andy and me were all watching, and it was this big bet. And someone next to me hit a 16 with like a 4-up. No, don't hit that 16.
Oh,
Okay,
you were that
they,
guy.
They
yeah.
busted, but the dealer would have busted. The dealer got a 21. I
Yep.
got so mad. I stood up like this. I backed up, and I almost fell down. My chair
no.
fell into this old lady.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She was all right?
I think so.
We didn't.
There was no lawsuit.
Okay, I was gonna say, are we can't be.
I'm not
admitting
even
to
sure if that
something.
really happened. They just told me that there was an old lady.
They
So
just
I don't
wanted
remember.
you.
I
To,
was so mad. I was having a temper tantrum.
I should have known you were a blackjack guy.
I am. I got
Yeah.
a whole system, and we'll go over that some.
That would be fascinating. Actually, we always talk about your ability to do date math, like
Yeah.
to calculate dates for the LRC cycle. So
I've got a whole.
I imagine your blackjack counting cards
Yeah.
mentality.
I'll tell you what.
fits.
We'll finish this segment with the blackjack system. That'll be a winner for you. Okay.
Oh, that would be exciting. There's a system.
So I'll tell you about that. In
Is
just-
there a cycle
we're
to
gonna
blackjack?
Remember this. We'll finish this with us.
I will try.
But right now, I want to talk about the NFL season.
Oh, right.
And then we have Twitter questions from.
Yeah, man. So, well, shoot, yeah. This was something we were kicking around yesterday, just because I admit I've been unprepared. I'm just covered in paint and looking like an idiot. I've been working hard on
Did you paint that?
this shirt. Does it look? It might be. I don't honestly know. I don't even know what I'm wearing these days. Everything is a blur. So I am just like in the throes of stupidity when it comes to this building renovation. So I am horrifically unprepared and maybe looking more obnoxious than usual.
Well, that's why we had people.
so we throw it to the crowd.
We'll do that in just a second.
Okay, great.
But the NFL opening, they're scheduled. The opening day is going to be September the 7th, and the Kansas City Chiefs will be playing the Detroit Lions on opening night.
Does that feel mean? That feels mean, right?
Well, Detroit, number one, rose to one of the top teams last year. They really did.
They did. Yeah, that is a good point.
They-
They had a crescendo of a season,
Yeah,
right?
and Jared
Okay.
Goff, he's been in a Super Bowl before with the Rams. And,
Yeah.
And so he didn't play very well. There's some
Yeah, that's
questions
a tough
about
one.
him, but he obviously has talent. But the Lions are coming in. There's some debate on, it should have been the Bills. It should have been the Eagles. It should have been the Bengals. It could have been the Chargers. It should have been the Denver Broncos. But it's the Detroit Lions, and they're a completely attractive opening night day. And the Chiefs get to celebrate their Super Bowl. So
That's exciting.
So
I
that
have
might-
I have a dumb question. I don't know why I was under the impression that the defending Super Bowl champ, there's always a rematch. Is there not always a rematch?
no.
Why did I think that?
No, there's not always a rematch. So
The first game of the season for the champ.
Well, the Eagles are on the Chiefs' schedule.
I guess it's a different
It
company,
could
yeah,
have been
okay.
the Eagles this year because they're on the Chiefs' schedule
Right.
regardless. So they just happen to be playing that division. So the Chiefs will be playing the Eagles or as a first-place team. But that game, I'm glad it's not opening night. It's not fair to the Eagles or Eagles fans to come to Arrowhead. They
Sure.
already just lost the Super Bowl. To maybe get to week 7, 8, or 9, maybe both teams are 7-1 or 8-1 or
Yeah, everybody's kind of found their niche.
then you can
and-
build up that.
Yeah,
Oh
that's
my
fair.
gosh, here's the rematch.
Yeah,
you know.
for sure.
So that's
Okay.
that's
Gosh, I don't know
what
why I was operating under that assumption, but now, okay, this
But
was
you know,
helpful.
we have Weather 2020 and the LRC Weather
Hit
2020.
us, man. That's going to be
.com.
smack dab in the.
And this is the forecast. I know we'll try to get that posted for you so you can see.
Sure,
it.
there's a visible. Yeah.
It's raw data. All right.
Can
but-
Ben zoom in? I'm sure he can do
We
very
can-
incredible
We can do that.
post.
We'll get it to Ben, but
Yeah.
it shows that it's going to be about 2 degrees to 3 degrees above average temperatures.
Okay.
It shows that week there's going to be 1 to 1.6 inches of rain.
Okay.
And
It's cumulative, right?
It has the chance of rain highest on the 5th, 6th, and 7th of September.
Ah, so the little. Okay.
And 300
So we're in a little range.
300 means 300% or 3 times normal average of rain that
Sure.
day.
Sure.
So that means a very good chance of rain on opening day. Hopefully they're not thunderstorms, and maybe they'll be gone by Sunday night, by Thursday night football, because it'll be Thursday night. And it does show the chance of rain going down on the 8th. So maybe it goes down, you know?
Sure. Yeah. Maybe you get a little elasticity in there. So
Yeah. So,
okay.
So
That's exciting. Already throwing out open today.
120-day forecast out there. So now we did ask on Twitter. Let's go.
Well, real quick too. I did see. We should do. I saw the Chiefs are going to Germany, right?
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
I can give the German
I was like,
forecast.
we have a global forecast. We don't have to do it right now. I mean, it's just something that maybe that's a Twitter thing.
That's a whole other thing. But remember, the LRC starts setting up in October, so that Germany game, I think, is going to come right as the new weather pattern is setting
that's
up
a tough
for the
one.
season.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's go and find this.
So yeah, Gary did a great job of throwing out a little bit. And maybe this is something we'll do again here in the semi near future. Do a little bit of
what did I ask?
a little Ask Me Anything. So he said for our forecast podcast, what would you like us to discuss, right? And so this was kind of late last night. We kind of conceived of this.
I thought that's what you wanted me to do.
Yeah.
You had a different idea.
Well, I always think it'd be interesting. Of course, because I don't have to deal with the logistics. This would be a poor men thing or something. I don't know. Maybe some of it would fall on me of organizing some questions. So send in some questions because I think I try to drag out the drama of a 30-plus year career, broadcasting career, because there's a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff, that is kind of interesting to the average individual. And so I wonder if any of those types of questions. Now, these are a lot
There
of...
might be one or two of these.
Okay, I haven't looked. I'm not a social media consumer.
That's okay.
So I did a bad job.
That's why you're mentally healthy.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, I guess.
You're mentally healthy because you don't do social media.
That's quite the assumption. That's good.
You know,
I'll take it. Causation, correlation, I don't know which or what, but such is life.
Read the first question.
Okay. So we want to talk about... that's right. So this was an interesting concept. I attended the NFL draft, the second day of the NFL draft here in Kansas City. It was a delightful time. I was so pleasantly surprised with the experience. I kind of went there with the assumption that it was just going to be a logistical nightmare of waiting in lines and whatnot. Walked right in, had a blast. It was fantastic. I saw you went with the dogs the next day early, right?
Well,
really?
I was out early, but I never went into the experience. I had to stay out because I had the dogs.
Oh, of course. That makes sense. I wondered how they were going to let
they
you
weren't
in.
police dogs. They weren't allowed in.
They could be police dogs.
I know.
Yeah.
I tried.
Yeah, all right. That's a
tried.
fair point. So we have an individual who has phrased this in a somewhat aggressive fashion, maybe, but for the longest time, we'd been promoting the concept of severe weather during the draft here in Kansas City, right? So there was a recurring storm system, and it did fall right on cycle, okay? And so it was interesting. You and I were discussing this as it was happening. They shut the event down, for a period of time due to weather threats, right? And so Hushpook asked, what happened to the severe weather outbreak during the NFL draft that you pumped as a sure thing for months beforehand? So, I mean, this is interesting. This is where things get difficult because it's like our definition might not match somebody else's definition.
Right.
I feel like this is the classic scenario of when people say, like, you said there was a 60% chance of rain. Well, I mean, there's a 40% chance of rain for you as a human being to not experience the storm, right? So somebody's definition of severe weather is like, it's the end of the world, or, I don't know. So we sort of viewed it as a win. I think it's a pretty
well. And I tweeted out the picture of the Kansas City Sports Commission tweeting out, "Please evacuate. Everyone must evacuate the tent area as severe weather is approaching."
Severe weather evacuation alert. Severe weather is approaching the area.
Okay.
It feels definitive.
I know. Okay.
Am I crazy?
Weather. So we predicted that there would be potential severe weather risks for the NFL draft, and then they had to evacuate with a statement saying severe weather is approaching. Was it extremely widespread severe weather? No. Was Kansas City in it? Not necessarily. But I did tweet way back a few months earlier about that. The tweet was, Kansas City and the NFL needs to watch this as Kansas City may be included in this risk.
Sure.
Not 100% certain. Now, the pattern did return. There was severe weather that week. For all 3 days, there was a threatening sky. So that's how Kansas City goes. So maybe I should not forecast for Kansas City because Kansas City is one of the hardest places to forecast for.
It's been a fickle beast.
But anyway, it did happen.
So, I
don't want to be defensive. But
agreed, and I guess that's a really good, because I don't mean to be discouraged and people should be critical. I mean, it's perfectly okay. It's just, it's tough. It's a little pedantic on what we determine as okay, yes, severe weather. It feels definitive. Somebody else doesn't think that it qualifies. I'd be interested. Unless a tornado rips through the city and wipes out the entire event, will they then go, I guess Gary was right?
Well, we don't need that.
I agree. I mean, I just don't know.
Yeah.
There's
It
a
could have
whole
been that.
spectrum of what somebody's definition.
Another example is today. We predicted 120 days ago now. It was It was mid-January when we put out these predictions for May 10th to May 15th.
Right.
This time frame to have a severe weather risk. And I looked at the pattern. We use real meteorology. We don't just use climatology. Oh, there's typically severe weather in Kansas at this time of the year.
Right.
Yes, you can just say that. But we looked and saw the pattern. The storm that we predicted to happen this week, May 10th to May 15th, and we're recording this on May 11th, we predicted that there would be a system, and I drew in all of Kansas with central and eastern Kansas as the primary risk for right around today on May 11th. Okay, and May 12th off to the east. Well, today, there is an absolute significant risk of severe weather.
Yeah.
A 10% chance of strong to violent tornadoes.
Oh, yikes.
Over central and western Kansas.
Okay.
I did central and eastern Kansas. So I'm going through each one of our predictions. Was there severe weather in the week we predicted? There's going to be.
Sure.
And significantly today.
Right.
So that's right. How significant was it? If it's just one tornado and 15 or 30 severe weather reports, well, I'm going to consider that wrong. If there's over 100 severe weather reports or 200 severe weather reports today, that will be, and there probably will be today, that will be right. So it's 2 for 2.
Okay.
And the location, the way I drew it in is somewhat right, but I'm going to say I had Kansas City in the heart of it, and it's actually to our west today. So it's 2 out of 3, and I consider that accurate.
I would agree with you.
You want 3 for 3?
I just don't, as you and I have experienced this for
Here
so
comes
long.
the pessimistic.
No. It's not a pessimistic concept of us. It's not a pessimistic concept of other people's opinions. It is just tough to, how do you make everybody like, all right, this is what we see, and getting somebody to see exactly what we see without being obnoxiously pedantic. But then you inevitably set yourself up for failure too. Like there's really no right answer here for how we declare okay, this is what we think. Because then if it's 7 miles to the east, people are like, you blew it.
But
you don't know what you're doing. You said it was going to happen on this street corner at this second, and it happened 7 blocks over and 4 seconds later, and you're an idiot. And it's just like, man, what? I don't know. So then you go, all right, we'll make it a little more general, because then when you create a level of specificity, then you create potentially unmanageable expectations, which is fair. We shouldn't be doing that, right? So then we make it a little more general. And then people go, you're just seeing what sticks. There's going to be severe weather ever because it's May. And it's like, oh, man.
That's
okay.
That's
it's
not
just exhausting.
Yeah, it's not
really?
even close to what we do. But anyway.
No. I agree. We're trying to provide a valid, useful product. Yeah. So we're always trying to dial it in,
Mayfield, Kentucky got hit by a major EF4 tornado.
Right.
Okay,
yeah.
It's one of the strongest tornadoes in the last couple of years on December the 10th, 2 years ago. All right. And then we predicted April 13th to 16th or so, right in that range. Mayfield, Kentucky, again, is the target, but that region is going to get hit.
For sure.
Then not only did that region get hit again, as predicted 100 days before, but it also 125 days before.
Yeah.
There was another tornado in Mayfield, Kentucky. So we predicted that Mayfield, Kentucky was a target. It was an EF4 tornado the first time and only an EF1 tornado. And I had some people say, well, where's the EF4 tornado?
Know, right.
So you're saying we predicted the tornado, but it was not strong enough?
Yeah. So there's still...
The LRC is able to predict down to the micro scale. And that's where my peers will go ballistic. No way! That is absolutely impossible. No, it is not impossible, and we do it. I'm not saying every tornado is going to be predicted. Probably 90% of them will not be able to be predictable in the same city, in the same location. But by a region, probably, and it can get that specific, and you should prepare just in case.
Well, and we're always striving to do better. That's part of our process too, though, right? So, I think that's an acceptable methodology. All right, geez, I'm sorry. I'm getting us in the weeds. I always drag us in the mud on this topic.
Well, because that was not the one I wanted you to bring up.
That was the top one, man. Okay.
That was the controversial one.
Oh, so I mean, well, all right, now it's out there. Well, hopefully that clears something up or makes it worse. I don't know anymore.
The bottom line is we were right about the NFL prediction.
I would like to think so. A hush puppy or hush poo poo or whatever may not agree, and that's fine.
But not a slam dunk perfect forecast.
Okay, somebody wants to know about hurricane season, summer forecast, and El Nino. That's a good one. Okay, so what do we think? We did, this is a nice time to address, we put out our hurricane outlook. We did our official press release this year and put it out there. Feel free to check it out. So I think it's well received. It's interesting. We're doing a little more active than last year. We've harped on it a million times, so we won't go into it this time, but did pretty dang good last year. So we're looking to have a similar level of success this year, you know?
I don't want to just toot our own horn here, but
okay, that's good.
Pretty darn good last year.
This isn't the toot your horn podcast.
What does pretty darn good mean?
Pretty darn good means everybody else thought it was going to be the end of the world, Armageddon, hurricanes are going to swallow you and your loved ones every second of every day, and it's going to be end times. Right? That was the forecast. Word for word, I'm sure
everyone didn't say that.
Not everyone. There were a lot of...
They predicted a hyperactive season.
A very active season,
29 universities, private companies, and government agencies were tracked, including Weather 2020. The other 29 predicted a hyperactive season or above average at least. Only Weather 2020 predicted a below average.
On March 23rd, predicted a below average.
Below average season, and we didn't budge from our forecast, and it was below average. So we were the only ones that predicted a below average season. This season, we're expecting slightly above average. So, and many organizations are going a little bit below average this year. We're probably more in the middle of the pack this year.
Sure.
But the LRC doesn't just do what everyone else does, predicts an entire season, a 100-day outlook, okay? Here's the outlook. It's going to be above average or below average. We also tell you when and where tropical storms and hurricanes are likely going to form, track, and make landfall. So we've been very successful at it. That's the LRC provides.
Which is cool because, you know, you got to remember it's where landfall is most likely, which then gives you guidance as to where it is least likely. Right? Which is equally as useful.
Yeah,
so.
And then the other part of that question was El Nino. El Nino.
Yeah, so we're looking at a big thing happening with El Nino.
El Nino
right?
is the warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean. The last 3 winters have been influenced. The last 3 years have been influenced by what's called La Nina, which is the cooling of the tropical Pacific Ocean.
Right.
And we're talking 1 degree, 1/2 a degree, or 1.5 degrees to maybe up to 2 degrees below or above average. This warmer ocean, even if it's just 1 degree warmer, does majorly impact the weather across the world. Okay, now
it's a lot of water.
It affects the patterns, but it doesn't necessarily affect the LRC. The weather pattern is going to set up according to the LRC. The LRC is this big centerpiece of this big atmospheric puzzle, and El Nino is an influence on it. These other things are influences. So El Nino, being the warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean, is predicted right now by the Climate Prediction Center and a lot of the models to become a moderate or possibly strong El Nino. What that means for the United States is likely a better chance that it'll be a warmer winter. Okay, so
sure,
and it's still going to, especially if it's a strong El Nino. But it still depends on how the LRC sets up. Is El Nino influencing that setting up period? Probably there's an influence, and that's something we're still identifying.
Sure.
But it's just part of the factor. For example, the LRC sets up. This year happens to be a roughly 7-week cycle or so, and La Nina is changing to an El Nino, and yet the LRC has not changed yet. Now, the influences on it there may be some influences, but the pattern is still cycling in that 7-week range.
Sure.
And next October and November, a brand new pattern set up. So El Nino will be an influence. I don't think it has a major influence on this hurricane season. Perhaps more of an influence next summer.
Gotcha. So let me ask you this. This is an off-the-cuff thing. I don't know if you'll... do we remember the last year that had a strong El Nino?
The strongest
has it been
one
a while?
ever, I believe, was 97, 98.
I remember that. It was on SNL was sort of lampooning the concept of El Nino because it was everywhere. I remember being in high school going and having no idea. But even Chris Farley was on SNL lampooning.
El Nino!
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
he might have been Mr. El Nino.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyway, there have been a few of them in but this one does appear it's going to be one of the stronger ones. So
Gotcha.
something to monitor. More on that coming up.
Do we want to talk about the summer forecast? This particular individual.
What does
This
it
is
say?
Coach Taylor. Oh, that's a great name.
What's
How did
Coach
you get
Taylor
that
say?
handle? That's great. We're just requesting the concept of the discussion of the summer forecast as well. This is hurricane season summer forecast El Nino.
Yeah, so if you go to weather2020.substack.com and become a member there, it's just $300 a year. It's really, really, for the information we provide, it is like, this is great information for just $300
Sure,
a year.
it's excellent.
I update it every Monday with a video, and so go there and join there. You'll get extensive details, and if you tell me what county you're interested in, I will post it at least once coming up here this summer. But
I'm amazed you keep up with that. by the way.
I do it. It's worth our time, honestly, Bob. About 10 requests for counties came in, and I went at it, and I got them all on there. And it took about an hour and a half of work.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
So just know that there's a lot of work that goes into it, and that's where the $300 a year comes in. You get information. I try to get a little specific for your area at least once a year for that price, because some companies will pay up to $100,000, just so you know, for some of this information that we provide that are going to help businesses. But this summer is going to be an interesting one. It still shows cooler than average up in the northwestern half of the country, hotter than average in the eastern half of the country. The East Coast is where we're expecting a heat wave to build and spread west in the middle to end of July.
Wow.
And it
Okay.
could be a major impacting heat wave this year.
Dang.
Yeah, so just know that's in our prediction right now. Go to that weather2020.substack.com.
That was great. That was a great teaser, though. I mean, hopefully, Coach Taylor. I mean, I feel like that was a lot of very useful information. The next question is about the Royals. We should maybe we'll come back to that.
I was just honored in the Buck O'Neill seat.
Yeah, man, we should talk about that.
Yeah,
that
it
was
was-
fantastic,
It's
man.
one of the best honors I've ever had in my life.
Gary Lezak sat in the historical
Yeah.
Buck O'Neill.
Yeah, Buck
Great.
O'Neill. I met Buck O'Neill when he was in his late 80s and 90s. He, I think, died at 95 years old. But what a great, great man. And I was
Very
honored
cool.
to sit in that seat. And a great baseball player, a great, ambassador for Kansas City. And so I was honored to be in that seat.
That was pretty neat. And
yeah.
so I don't know how, as a an ignorant member of the Royals fan community, how do you even end up to sit in that seat?
Wayside Waves nominated me.
Oh, very
I think
cool.
because
Okay.
I'm MC of the Fur Ball for the last time coming
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
And they just nominated me with all the contributions that I've had to the community. And so they accepted it, and that's how I got that.
Very cool. I didn't know if they just put people's name in a hat and pluck it out.
No,
or...
you have to get nominated.
Okay, very neat.
So
yeah.
I really appreciate that. Thank you to Wayside Waves.
You
and
said
everybody.
so. There was a weather delay too, right?
Yeah.
And then you said it resulted. I didn't catch that particular game, but it ended in a
Yeah,
pretty
and
good
I
game.
got some great footage, video. I'll show it to you in a minute.
Yeah.
Of them trying to put the tarp down.
Did it not go well?
It got real windy, and so I'll show you. It's like,
Oh no.
that tarp was
That's gotta be
definitely
tough.
Yeah, some of the workers could have been flying through the air. That's how that was.
That is spooky, man.
Yeah, so
That's an impressive level of commitment. That's very exciting, though. Well, we'll come back. So Tom Hankin has a very specific, maybe tongue-in-cheek, couple of questions about the Royals. Let's see here. Brad Bryant wants to talk about Kansas peak tornado season, where the severe weather outbreaks are projected to be based on the LRC.
yeah.
I mean, that's a tough one without a visual aid, I
Well,
suppose.
Let me just tell you, we've had the last time there was a tornado watch in Kansas City,
Yeah.
in
yeah.
Johnson County and Jackson County at the same time. And remember, a watch is a broad, big, huge watch area that can be 150 miles wide or even bigger. Okay, but so you have this watch and then when there's a possible tornado, there's a tornado warning. So what's happening here is, when's the last time there was a watch in Johnson and Jackson County together?
Good question.
May 28, 2019.
Whoa.
We're coming up on 4 straight years, 4 different LRCs,
Wow.
4 different patterns where something is wrong, where we just are not in the right spot for these storm systems. So whenever there's a risk, like today's tornado watch will be west of Kansas City.
Okay, sure.
And a couple of them have come up to Johnson County on the state line, and they stopped.
Right.
And one of
Wow.
them was Jackson County eastward. So there
No
has
kidding.
not been one where we're in the heart of this risk. And so just know that this season is continuing that pattern. There may be a risk. We have this week is one of those risks. So tonight or tomorrow, there's actually a 5% risk of tornadoes tomorrow near Kansas
Wow,
City.
really?
So this is that part of the pattern, but it still looks like it might avoid us. But we got to watch. We got to watch May 12th closely, and then May 20th to May 26th is the return of the biggest tornado outbreak of the season. March 30th.
Whoa.
When I say that, it's like we know what return means, but the
course.
rest of the meteorological community will not know what that means. The pattern is cycling
Good distinction.
regularly. All right, for those of you learning about the LRC.
If you're just tuning in.
November, and believe me, we're just
I
tuning
love
in
it.
because it's an innovative new technology. Even though I've been developing it for 35 years, and there's 75, 80 years of
Still
research
folks
behind it.
just figuring it out.
Well, it's
Yeah,
still
man.
new. But November 4th was a big peak of tornadoes. 100 days later or so, 150 days later, whatever that is, December, January, February, March, for be 150 days later, March 31st, the biggest tornado outbreak of the season.
Yeah, wow.
Huge. And that whole week was active. That's the part of the pattern that is returning May 20th to May 26th.
Okay, right.
So, and then the next one after that is around June the 7th. So there's a little break. So there's two chances here in the plains. May this week, then May 20th to 26th is the big one. But the models are all over the place. So
Sure, yeah.
I still expect a significant risk that week.
See, that's interesting because I think that was actually way more specific than I thought you'd be able to produce without a decent visual aid. So very impressive.
I've been doing a lot of research every day. If you wonder, now you know I'm doing my work.
Oh, I never
If
doubt
you wonder
it.
what I'm doing.
I never doubt it. The personal forecasts that I receive at random hours of the days and night. I love it. It's fantastic. So this is kind of interesting. Somebody is asking about, so Jeff Winters is asking, what is weather, main component, system tips for remembering causes that. I feel like we've sort of gotten into pieces of that, but I think a really interesting component here is what you've touched on. An episode on meteorological tools would be interesting. I agree with that because until somewhat recently, I never even knew, like, for instance, you used a very specific software suite during your broadcast career, which I assume maybe changed a handful of times or whatnot, but it would be interesting to know, like, how many tools are in your arsenal there to be able to put together a useful forecast, and especially right before airtime.
Well, nowadays, if you're at home and just a weather hobbyist and you're not a meteorologist, the tools are all there for you to have in front of you.
And we're
You just
living in
have
the
to learn
future,
how
man.
to use it. Now,
Yeah.
when it comes to forecasting, there's 4 rules of forecasting. Rule number 1, always look outside. It's cloudy and it's some rain coming down.
Oh, yeah, I love it.
So always look outside
Gorgeous
because
gray
you never
day.
know.
Yeah.
There's a thunderstorm could form over your head and you could be on TV and I'm like, all right, there's a chance of thunderstorms tonight. And then 1 minute later,
It's pouring. Yep.
so look outside. You never know. Number 2, look at radar and satellite information. Then look at the computer models. And I'll tell you about those models in a second. And then number 4, make up your own mind.
Yeah.
And that's where you can be different from everybody else. If you just know the clouds, learn your clouds. All right.
Oh, sure.
That's a whole segment, but cumulus, stratus, cirrus, those are the 3 main cloud types. Learn the 10 basic cloud types, which are alto, cumulus, alto, stratus, nimbostratus. Nimbus means rain. Cumulonimbus, again, there's that nimbus term. That's the thunderstorm with rain.
Yeah.
And it could be snow as well. And then you have other clouds like stratus is fog on the ground. No definition, very stable cloud. And it could lift if it starts getting lumps in it, then that's stratocumulus clouds. But just learn your clouds, watch the sky, and you can become a good forecaster.
I love
Now,
it. Those clouds, man. My 8th grade science teacher, Miss Thompson.
To
Love
answer the question, go to this one site that's one of my favorites. It's called tropicaltidbits.com.
Oh, Gary is addicted to the site.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
I go to it 100 times a day. But Tropical Tidbits, you have all the models on there. And then you can start, if you join various blogs around the country or go to weather2020.substack.com. I'll show that and try to explain it. But the different levels are on there, and you can really learn some of the models there and look at how much snow is predicted by those models.
Do they archive model predictions? So how far back in history can you go and see a model run?
They do archive the models, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You can go back and look. I'm
Just
not sure.
curious. I didn't know if they like forever or if
Well,
we'll give you 6
years,
months.
I'm
worth.
sure there's data.
Yeah,
But then we have maps that I look at for data.
Gotcha. I love it. So this is actually interesting too, because this might be, I don't know, this could be its own episode, and I think it's a pretty good idea, explaining the different models and how we can view them to help understand what might be coming to the area. So that's interesting. Tropical tidbits.
Same thing. So really this, if I had to add, that's really the same kind of question, but
Sure.
if you call up tropical tidbits and you look at the GFS model, the GFS model is the American model. If you look at that model, then you can click on different parameters. And if you look at the precipitation and surface, you can see it. Or you look at total snowfall, you can see it. But be careful. It might show 36 inches of snow in Kansas City. Okay, and
some of them get wacky.
And sometimes it's fun to post that on Twitter and say, listen, this is not our prediction. Just want you to know.
This is what a model is saying. Because it is interesting. You can look at the model run and it'll tell you out like what's in 4-hour increments, right? Where it'll say like this is 4 hours out, 8 hours out.
Even 1 hour and some of them. So
sure.
Like
yeah.
today, the HRRR, I call it the HRRR. Some people call it the HRRR.
Yeah, that's fun.
But it's HRRR, which is HRRR. And it gives you an hour-by-hour prediction. But be careful. Those are just models. That's why you do the 4 rules of weather forecasting. Make up your own mind. But after you look at the models, then what is your own mind? Don't say, I think 8 to 10 inches of snow. And I'll go, oh, really? That's what this model shows. What's your opinion? So
which is interesting. Yeah, I mean, because the models, again, are just operating based on physics. We've gone into this a lot. I won't beat the horse here, but there's only so much they can do. That model doesn't know. It doesn't have the human intuition to say like, all right, that is a ridiculous outcome.
Human intuition is extremely important.
Yeah.
So one more question, and then we're going to get to my blackjack system.
Oh man! All right. The drought in the Southern Plains. Headley Lamar.
The drought in the Southern Plains.
That's a funny name, I think.
Right now, there's an exceptional drought over southern Kansas, western Kansas. This whole winter, the last couple of years, storm systems are missing our area.
Yeah.
And so that area has been slightly expanding. Now, the last 2 days, including today, there's going to be tremendous rain and thunderstorms out there. So that's going to cut into the drought. But we still need some more rain. The conditions are changing now. We have one more month of spring. As soon as it hits mid-June.
That's it? God, where did the spring go?
As soon as it hits mid-June, the jet stream retreats north. And what causes the jet stream is temperature contrast. So if it's 40 below zero in Canada and 100 in Mexico, that's 140 degrees contrast.
Quite
and the jet stream is really strong. It causes this thermal wind. It's not even it's a fictitious wind, but it creates the jet stream at about 20, 30,000 feet up.
Sure.
So when it's 70 degrees in Canada and 100 degrees in Mexico, it's only 30 degree contrast. And so the jet stream retreats north and weakens as we go towards summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And so right now the pattern's being influenced by that. I could spend a whole segment on the block that's going on up there because it's warm in Canada, and that's really reducing the jet stream. And that's why severe weather isn't as strong as it could be. It's probably good.
Yeah.
But the jet stream retreats north mid-June, July and August, summer. Even though the pattern is still going to be cycling according to the LRC, the storm systems will all of a sudden be moving across Canada instead of the United States, and there will be different influences. So where it has been wet, like Minnesota, may shift up into Canada.
Ah, gotcha.
So just something to talk about.
Okay. So this is an idea born out of laziness, So the idea of letting folks ask questions and we sort of respond. And sometime in the future, maybe you'll tweet out again. I, of course, want the gossip and the drama of the behind the scenes. Weather questions are also, of course, understandably good. But
so I should have said, hey, who wants some gossip and drama? What question would you like me to answer tonight about the broadcasting industry?
There has to be somebody sitting there going like, I've always wanted to ask Gary this.
Oh, my gosh. We'll have to do that in another segment.
Absolutely. I understand. So just watch for that in the future, you sweet, dedicated individuals who
Thank you for watching.
Yeah, honestly, this was pretty great, too, though, because some of these really did give some good ideas for... Yeah. Like, I think the meteorological tools and another discussion of, like, all of the models.
Right.
I know we've kind of thrown them in and out here and there and, like, given brief explanations.
We can do that. We can go into
I think that'd be a cool topic, man. I know.
So are you ready for my blackjack system?
Hit us, man. How do we get rich in Vegas? So what are we doing here if you have a system? Come on.
Well, first of all, if you know blackjack, a lot of people listening probably know blackjack fairly well.
Sure.
Okay, and if you don't, let me just tell you a couple of the rules. First of all, it's hard when you have a king and a 6 or a 10 and a 6 and you have 16.
Right.
Or you have a 9 and a 7, you have 16. If there's a 7, 8, 9, 10, or ace showing, from
Okay.
the dealer, you hit 100% of the time. You always assume they have a 17 or higher if
Sure.
they have a 7 or higher, okay? You don't say, oh, I think they might bust. Don't play that game.
Yeah, this isn't
Always
poker.
play-
Yeah.
So always play the same way. Always hit the 16,
Yeah.
15, 14, and 13 even. 12 becomes 50-50 when there's a 2 up. But if you have a 12 with a 6 up, you have assumed they have a 16, they're going to bust. Don't hit your 12 because you don't want to get the 10 and bust when the dealer might bust. So play the game the right way all the time consistently. If you get 2 aces, you split them. If you get a 6 and a 5, you double down every single time. So that's
Sure.
the first thing. So just learn the rules of blackjack and play consistently.
Consistency is
And-
key,
and
man.
that way, the only thing you're really thinking about, although you have to think about when you have a 16, you have to hit,
Sure.
okay, is your betting. So let's say it's a $25 table. You bet $25 on your first bet. If you win, you double it to $50.
Right.
If you lose, then now you're down $25, and even though you're 2-1, you could be down $25.
Okay. Sure.
No, if you're 1-1, you're down $25.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But what you do, if you win, you just go on a streak. You always increase your bet. So it's $25, then 50. Okay, that's 2. 75 is 3. 100 is 4. 125 is 5. 150 is 6. 175 is 7. 200 is 8. If you win 8 hands in a row and lose the 9th hand at 225, how much are you up? Let's add it up real quick. 25 and 50 is
Sure.
75. 75 is 150. 100 is 250. 120 is 375. 525 is 150. 700 is 175. And then you bet 200. You lose. You're up $500.
Wow.
You've won 8 hands in a row. You're up 500. You go back to 25 and you keep your winnings.
I see.
So you're playing for the streak. You have one streak a night,
and you got to work it.
and you have a winner, and
You
you go to
gotta
dinner
work
on
the
the
streak.
casino. But if you bet 25 every time in 8 hands, you're just going to win $200.
Sure.
If you bet 25 and increase every time, you're going to win $500.
Yeah.
That's the system.
Wow. Okay.
Now, what could be dangerous? You get to your $200 bet, and then you get an 11. You have to double down, and then you lose, and you can lose all your winnings.
Yeah, that one hurts.
So he's like, and I've been chicken at times where I'm like, I'm not going to double down now. But anyway, that's the blackjack system.
That's
Simple version.
That's a solid system.
Play
Consistency,
the streak,
ride the streak.
increase. It works. When
Very
you,
important components.
if you win one, lose one, win one, lose one, you're going to lose.
right.
If you lose 10 hands in a row, you're going to lose $200 and you're out.
And you lose your house. You can lose your
Then you
dog.
leave.
You
You're
write
having
a country
bad day.
song.
You also get up when you're having a bad day.
Yeah, that is a good move. Because then you make bad decisions.
People watching is free. So that's my blackjack system.
That's good, man. I'm not much of a gambler. We were in Vegas for a buddy's birthday, I don't know, earlier this year. I had to force my lady Casey to give, we were both I guess we should do it. And then I had to force my buddy. It was his birthday. We were in Vegas because it was his birthday. And I had to pull his hand and put money in and said, please feed this to the idiot goblins in the machine. Just burn it. You're in Vegas. You have to put a $20 bill in here or
have
they
to
will
try it.
escort you out of the city.
You should try it.
Yeah.
You might win, but if you win, get out of there.
Yeah.
So
we
you-
didn't really, but it's still a great time. I had a good time.
The subjects of our next podcast is Bob calling his girlfriend, his long-term girlfriend,
So,
his
yes.
lady.
Yeah.
He's always calling his girlfriends my lady.
Was this a
You're
bad
the only
term?
person I've ever known to call her my lady.
Look, to me,
My lady and I are going out tonight.
I think
My
it's,
lady.
It's because the abuse of the term boyfriend and girlfriend in our youth, right? Because it feels amateurish. Because you're in 5th grade and there's people going around talking about yeah, my boyfriend, my girlfriend. So I feel like that dilutes the terminology of boyfriend. And so in my mind, it's an amateurish terminology. But I get it. I mean, lady, I suppose feels. To me, at least, it doesn't fall in that category.
It's not something you think about.
superficial.
She's your lady. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
My lady.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's great, Casey. Hugs and kisses. You're the best.
Yeah.
You know it.
Casey is amazing.
Is she great?
If you meet this girl, this lady, she is incredible.
Someday we should talk about. We met on Tinder of all places, and I was just like, oh man, I don't know. I was at the bottom of the barrel of my patience for the online dating game. And then I met her, and I was like, there's still good people in the world.
Jackpot.
She's just the sweet, a good, decent, solid human being, which I don't know if you can find in the world.
Keep increasing that bet.
Yes, there you ride the streak.
That's right. Come on. You're on a streak right
Consistency and ride the streak.
now. Casey.
These are Gary's gambling tips and love tips.
That's right. Oh, my gosh.
Perfect.
There you go. Gambling tips and love tips at the end of this podcast.
all you need.
It's brought to you by Results.
Oh,
Personal
buddy.
Fitness.
Look out. Someday you're going to have to show those legs off then, man.
Yeah, well,
it's always...
I got Lezak legs. It's amazing what I've
is
done
that,
with
hereditary?
these. Yes. It's amazing what I've done with these Lezak legs. Let's just
that's
put it that
great.
way.
This is a familial issue, I see. Okay.
So they're impressive for a Lezak.
Yeah, that's fair. You look good.
You
man.
would still say, okay. So, all right. Thanks for listening and watching to the podcast, The Forecast with Gary Lezak and
Lines.